Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone above, below, or in between. Welcome to September 25th, and it's no longer morning. And according to my Twitter feed, it looks like the UN has made a decision on that interesting presentation that was brought up by some famous feminists, one of them being Anita Sarkeesian. Let's roll over the first little screen that we got here that we got capped from the UN report recommends ISPs terminate the accounts of those who criticize people like Sarkeesian. Hashtag cyberviolence. And we got 4.3.1 industry safeguard protocol, whatever the hell this page is. I don't know what the hell this is about. Alright, this was retweeted to me by King of Zeros. And it says, industry players are important digital gatekeepers. They include ISPs, mobile phone companies, NPCs, hosts of social networking sites, SNS, online dating and gaming sites, and software developers. Website operators, employers, and investors are key sources of deterrence and remedy, and they should not be immune from social responsibility or from liability. Companies need to explicitly recognize VAWG, whatever the hell that means, as unlawful behavior and demonstrate increased and expedited cooperation in providing relief to victims/survivors within the capacities that companies have in particular. Oh, those special little snowflakes. Let's see what the list is. We got them numbered here. 1. Systems for cooperating with law enforcement. 2. Takedown procedures for abusive and harmful content. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be interesting. 3. The possibility of account termination for misconduct. 4. Production of transparency. Reports of records specific to VAWG detailing how and when they have responded to them. And that's the end of the page. More on this later. Alrighty then, here we go with the next setup. We got Mix Master Mayo. And he says, it is completely ridiculous. The EU is a massive barrier to freedoms of European nations to decide policy. And of course he links to some other fun stuff. Next, Rico Anon. According to him, there are laws and regulations to prevent any theocracy from forming. Social justice has no restrictions. Niche Gamer chimed in. But of course, hey guys, we've contacted Funimation in regards to that potentially awkward prison school dub that mentions Gamergate. Stay tuned. And of course we got at Draconis, indie dev artists. Alzum Jensen is looking for someone who can do pixel art. Isometric urban environments, please retweet, thank you. Back to the topic at hand with Mr. Grums. A speech license is a horrible, horrible idea. You should know better. And of course we got MGTOW Knight replying with, this is horrifying. More on this later. Thing I've ever seen. Oh, I replied to MGTOW Knight after he says this is horrifying. And of course I say, certs for talk, this is rich. And of course MGTOW Knight replies by, this is totalitarianism. This is tyranny. And of course I respond with, and that's not even the start. More on this later. And we have a retweet from Punish Ross. He's retweeting Little Miss April Truebody, I think it is. And she's talking about Randy Harper publicly brags about doxing people. Is Google okay with this? Please answer. And of course she's got a nice little screen cap of Randy Harper talking. Next. Good old Co-Grit. Alright. And he says, consider the following. Anita Sarkeesian, expert in cyber violence. Saudi Arabia, expert in human rights. Now laugh at the United Nations. Thank you, Co-Grit. Missed you, buddy. And we got a nice little tweet here from Mike Cernovich. A strong nuclear family is the only healthy way to raise children, but American women, ... risk assessments. And of course he has a nice little screen cap over here, and I think he's responding to a nice little conversation there. Moving right along. Quacky Quack the First has a nice little tweet here. Ontario, Canada may get rid of mothers and fathers on government forms. And of course here's the news link and post, and I'm not getting into that. Moving right along. And of course we have good old Thurin getting the taxpayer to pay for con is like Patreon, but only everyone has to pay me. Hashtag Gamergate. Hashtag on logic. Excuse me. Hashtag Gamergate. Hashtag UN logic. Good old Christina Hoff Summers tweets in with, Dear UN, there is no epidemic of misogynist threats on social media. Threats are a problem mainly for men. And of course she has a nice little chart here to prove her point. Thank you, Miss Summers. Thank you, Miss Summers. Moving right along. And of course we have more and more on the nice little voice actors possibly striking here with Adrian Chamilares, or whatever the heck, however the heck you pronounce that. He says, I have a lot of respect for VO actors, and this is quite brutal, but look, kind of yes. And of course he has a nice little tweet, screen cap of developers talking, folks in the business talking about it, and they don't even want to entertain the voice actors, and I'm in agreement myself with a lot of it. And of course we have some nice banter below. The most interesting one is they were asking for royalties and banning of non-union voice actors, which is quite insane, as a lot of folks chimed in and said. Moving right along. We have a nice tweet here from Master Ninja. This whole UN thing is hilarious. Just stop it. You embarrassed yourselves enough already. Hashtag Gamergates. Good old Turbo chimes in with asking Andrew Gleason, what in the freak are cyber civil rights? And of course, he is met with a nice reply from Hope Still Flies. And of course, she has a nice little chart here. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength, fear is freedom, subjugation is liberation, contradiction is truth, segregation is diversity, priority is equality, tolerance is acceptance, disagreement is harassment, certainty is problematic, feels are reals. Moving right along. Good old PC Toastmaster Bro chimes in with, I can't abide anyone who thinks being called cunt is worse than accusing someone of being a rapist or murderer just for disagreeing. End quote. Moving right along. Good Oliver chimes in. Mr. Campbell says, because you know what? You're watching these people have book burns. They're killing comment sections, etc., and removing free speech. They want to go to the places that you go to get away from the world and control that space too. If it doesn't conform, they want it gone. Moving right along. Good old Vey Verdis has a nice little Gamergate town hall meeting in 20 hours, so that'll be tomorrow. Tune in on his YouTube channel for more details. Moving right along. Oliver is back in the game, and he says, the game has changed, folks. It has escalated. So what are we going to do about it? Hunt down the... Grums chimes in. Sacrificing our liberty is not the way to achieve these good goals. The tactics are really about censorship. End quote. Grums again. Governments who love to enact this type of policy have always introduced as protecting the children, and now it's protecting the women. Same game, different name. Moving right along. Oliver's back in, and he says, these are the people who declare their comfortability, thoughts, feelings, and ideas always takes priority over yours, no matter what. End quote. Moving right along. Grums is back on, and he says, what the UN is proposing is actually forcing sites to have a license to allow speech on the net. and only the right kind of speech. End quote. And of course we got another reminder that the world is going on. Yes, that's right. The world still has its own little news. We got other events as well. Moving right along. Good old Chris McCullough. Greg Lager. For the record, I trust Julian Assange more than an AT Gamergater. Nobody on Twitter. Hashtag Gamergate. And of course, a nice little link. Thank you, Miss McCullough. Derek Smart has a nice setup of quotes here. And it goes. That's precisely why I sent a push bullet message directly to her. Then she immediately made excerpts public, with her unusual brand of bull. That left me no choice but to make the whole thing public via tweet longer. Just for the record. She just continued with the madness. The burn bit that came with my posting my wife's pics was specifically to make it known that I don't carry paper bags around with me. I know a lot of people are attracted to other people's things for various reasons. That's what fetishes are about. I'm not one of those. Rodney Dangerfield once said, faced with this situation, you need two bags. Put one over your head in case the one over her head breaks. End quote. Oh, not quite done. Derek Smart continues. Still not sure why she started all this drama. Not even 24 hours after Google Ideas gave her a platform she could have used to heal her image. I don't insult people. I engage in meaningful discourse. So when that Rodney joke flashed in my mind, that's all I could think of. And of course, the conversation goes a little bit further, and let's keep going. Duran comes in. I'm pretty sure it's a joke. Someone said my waifu was shit. UN said you got to arrest them. Please. Cyber violence, Gamergate, Google abuse. Quick check. Hello, police. Moving right along. And here's a nice little slice of sanity. Lost in History tweets Bruce Lee defeating Jackie Chan, 1973. And it looks like Enter the Dragon. I wish they would remember that Sammo Hung was also in that movie, and that was a pretty good fight. Moving right along. And more regular news, more gags. Moving right along. And of course we have Eve Canellian. And it says here, make no mistake, UN is calling for abolition of free speech. No difference, murder and suicide over a tweet. And of course we have a nice little screen capping here.